What's up, folks? Welcome to Age of Impact with Dr. Kamal Jones. So listen, I think we've probably at this point all seen some little tidbits at least about this Epstein story that's been all over the news. You know, I am a pediatrician, but specifically I spend a lot of my time caring for child victims of abuse, including child sexual abuse. And so this story has really stood out to me when I've thought of all of the layers around power and wealth that played a role in how the decisions were made around releasing these files, these Epstein files. For those who aren't familiar with this story, the basic components of it is that you had this very rich, very well-connected guy, Jeffrey Epstein, who had a cohort of young women as young as 14 years old who he would sexually abuse. Jeffrey Epstein, very well connected with power players and wealthy folks all throughout the country, many of whom were concerned that their names would be in these Epstein files, these documents about who he spoke to, who was engaged in this sort of action. Just this week, the Congress made a decision to force Donald Trump to release the Epstein files into the world. They forced his hand because he was trying to push against that. There have been many theories as far as why. Many know that they were good friends for a long time, and there were concerns that his name was perhaps all through those files. I digress. The tragedy of this sort of case at the very core is that this was children, young people as young as 14 years old. They could have been in a middle school, like this very one here behind me. And they were victims of child sexual abuse at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein and a whole cohort of other individuals. There comes a time in which we have to ask, how do we hold to account those who are most powerful, those who have the most money, when it comes to protecting our young people? Every week I have cases come across my desk in which young people have had to navigate the power and wealth differences that come with just being a child and having someone in a position of authority who is supposed to be there to protect you and who instead takes advantage of that relationship. It's heartbreaking to say the least, but more than anything, it is an absolute travesty that at the highest levels of government, we are not working harder to protect these kids. In this Epstein case, you had those who were the most wealthy, the most powerful, the people who had the most access to resources, who more than anyone should have been in a position to be of help and support for our children. And they were the very people who were victimizing children. It is a crime that it has taken this long for us to be able to actually have some light be shed on what took place with these young people, even in spite of the victims pleading for a release of this information. And so I think about, in this situation in which there's so much attention being paid to this case, if it took this long for light to be shed on what took place for these young people, how much more difficult is it for the average young person, the average child who's been a victim of sexual abuse, to have their story heard? Okay, my friends, that is our show today. Thank you as always for watching Age of Impact. Please make sure to like the episode, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below. What are your thoughts on how we can better protect our young people from being victims of predators like Jeffrey Epstein and all those who were involved in that case? And we will catch you next week, Thursday, on Age of Impact.